Hi everyone, it's me, Arielle, and it's Wednesday Warriors, and today's topic is relapse. It is the 5th week in our current rotation. We've talked about contemplation of recovery. Before that, we talked about pre-contemplation. We've talked about active change. We've also talked about maintaining recovery once you're in it. And for this week, while we discuss relapse, I'll be talking about coping with relapse, forgiving yourself, and keeping on with recovery. It's a really important topic because, factually, most people who are in recovery from an eating disorder will relapse at least once at some point. And this doesn't make you a failure. And that's really the main reason why I really want to talk about this topic. I don't want to say that relapse is inevitable, because that is not the point of this video, nor is it the point of recovery. If you were in recovery thinking the entire time that you were bound to relapse, you wouldn't really get very far. But sometimes when relapse happens, we think that it is the enemy of recovery, and therefore we feel like we should completely give up because obviously recovery isn't working for us. It's really not true. As far as relapse is concerned, I like to think of it like this. I'm going to give you sort of a little, I don't want to say mantra, but basically some advice in the form of the word relapse. When you relapse, there are certain things that you need to do, certain steps that you need to take in order to get back on that recovery path, in order to, cope and forgive yourself. And I have come up with a little piece of advice that goes along with each letter of the word relapse. And once you relapse, repair what can be repaired. And by this I mean, if you have done something, whether to your physical body, to your mental health, to your current situation, and it's really detrimental to your recovery, and it can be fixed right now, fix it. Repair what can be repaired. If you have, filled your bedroom with lots of very unhealthy pictures of skinny models, and you were doing this as you progressed into a relapse, and now that you have come to terms with the fact that you've relapsed and you'd like to get out of it, you know that one thing that you can do is to get rid of all those pictures that you have plastered around your room. So that would be a good example of repair what can be repaired. Another example would be if you were living without a scale, and as part of your relapse, you bought a scale, get rid of that scale again. Repair what can be repaired. Whatever you feel that you need help to repair, or you can't repair right now, or it will take time and progress to repair, then fine. You don't have to repair those things right now, those will come later, but repair what can be repaired. Exercise your strength of mind. And this is very important because often in relapse, we feel so down on ourselves that we let the eating disorder take over. So by exercising your strength of mind, you're basically saying, I am stronger than the eating disorder. I may have screwed up a little bit, but I am willing to fix it, and I want to fix it, and I'm strong enough to fix it. I really can get through this, no matter how hard it is. So all of the ways that you have to exercise your strength of mind, do it. Learn from your mistakes. This is a big one in relapse because it seems obvious. Obviously, we're going to learn from our mistakes. You don't really have to put a whole lot of active work into learning from your mistakes. You probably will. Just in the act of relapsing, you're going to be able to learn from what went wrong. But sometimes you have to pinpoint what might have gone wrong. So what I mean by learn from your mistakes is sort of see what changed. If you were doing well in recovery and then all of a sudden you weren't, and you were relapsing or you were heading towards a relapse, What changed? What triggered that? What circumstances in your life altered in order to have this happen? What happened within yourself? See if there's anything that you can discover that might help you along the way so that you can learn from it. And if you discover something or think of something or remember something that isn't fixable right now, or might take a lot of work to fix, it doesn't mean that as soon as you realize it, you should start fixing it. It just means that realizing it is the first step. Becoming aware of what may have led you to relapse is really important. A, accept that you're human. You really need to accept that you will make mistakes and that relapse may just be part of recovery for you. It's really hard to forgive ourselves when we relapse because we have put so much effort and work into recovery and we really want it. And when you try so hard, you feel like a failure when you don't succeed. And especially when you feel as though you have reverted to the beginning, it's hard not to be hard on yourself. So this acceptance is key. If you don't forgive yourself, you're not going to be able to pull yourself out of this hole of relapse. You need to learn to say, it's okay that I relapsed because I'm going to go back to recovery. It's okay that this happened to me because I'm going to learn from it. And it doesn't feel very good, but I won't be here forever. And as long as you're kind to yourself and as long as you are willing to remember that you are only human, you'll go far. You have to accept that everyone makes mistakes. We all do things that we aren't proud of, and we all have the ability to make things better. So just tell yourself the other side of things. Maybe you didn't do so well, and that's what landed you in the land of relapse, but there is a way out, and you can find it, and you can redeem yourself. P, prepare to start again. This is important because a lot of times what happens when people relapse is they land back in therapy, back in hospital. Maybe they've always been going to therapy while they were strong in recovery, but they've landed back in therapy in a new way where they're feeling not so proud of their actions and people are really trying to work with them to get them out of this funk that they're in. But they end up sort of feeling like they're back where they started. And that's not really true, because if you have come a long way in recovery and then you relapse, it doesn't discount all of the hard work that you've put forth so far. And that's the number one thing that I tell people all the time. If you were in recovery for 2 years and you had a relapse, it doesn't mean that those 2 years never existed. It doesn't mean that you didn't make any progress because you relapsed. You have to remember that, things like this happen, and prepare to start again. Preparing to start again means you're going to make a plan. You're going to figure out what it is you need to do to pull yourself out of relapse, get yourself back on the recovery path. You're going to sit down and talk with other people in your life if that's what it takes. Figure out what you can do to set yourself in the right direction today. And as long as you're prepared and you have a plan and you are setting goals for yourself, I want to do this, I want to be here, I want to do that, you're going to feel so much prouder of yourself when you accomplish those things. So preparing to start again is key. S, seek support or seek more support. If you already have a support system, maybe you need to sort of pad that support system even more by gathering more people around you or going back to therapy or going to a group. Things like that can really just bolster you and be that safety net that you need in case things get worse, or while things get better, you have people encouraging you and rooting for you. It makes following the recovery path so much easier. You really don't want to underestimate the power of support. Support is a wonderful, wonderful thing, but it's a wonderful, wonderful tool. And E, encourage, don't berate. You don't want to berate yourself. You want to encourage yourself. Always encourage. It's easy to kick ourselves when we're down, when we have relapsed and we're feeling at our lowest and we're not feeling, healthy in body and mind and spirit. It's easy to just stay in that place and feel low and berate ourselves and tell ourselves we're stupid, we're a failure, how could you do this? All kinds of negative talk, can go through your head. But if you remember to be encouraging to yourself and say, you can do this, get back up, reach out, keep going, it'll be okay, you'll be all right. Those are all the right things that you should be saying. And if you encourage yourself, recovery won't seem as challenging as if you're constantly berating yourself. And then a really big thing to remember is that you're a work in progress. We're all works in progress. Whether we are in recovery, whether we're recovered, whether we are deciding whether or not to choose recovery. We are all works in progress. All people are works in progress. None of us are perfect. So if you remember that you're a work in progress and your goal in life is to continue to try to be a better version of yourself, you will be. And don't get hung up on assumed definitions. Relapse is not failure. So many people, when they hear the word relapse, think failure at recovery. They think that they have failed. And we don't call it failure for a reason, because it's not. It's relapse. We use the term relapse. Relapse does not mean failure. It does not mean that you are a failure or that you have failed. So I want to read you the definition of relapse so that we're all clear on it. Relapse is the act or an instance of backsliding, worsening, or subsiding. And that is the first definition. So backsliding means, you're kind of reverting back to old ways. Worsening means, you're not getting better, you're getting worse. You're not sticking to recovery. You're slowly going back to your eating disorder. Or subsiding, meaning you're not making any progress at all. You're just sort of pushing the progress you could be making away and staying in the negativity. 2, a recurrence of symptoms of a disease after a period of improvement. And that obviously comes into play. Your symptoms are returning. An eating disorder is a disease. It's a mental health issue. You can improve, and a recurrence of symptoms is relapse. Just because symptoms are recurring and you are having a hard time in recovery doesn't mean that you're failing. It means your symptoms are recurring. So you have to cut yourself a break. You have to be able to forgive yourself in order for you to move forward and push on through. And recovery is still for you if you have relapsed. If you've relapsed once, twice, 3 times, 10 times, recovery is still for you. Don't give up on yourself, because I'm not giving up on you, and I'm sure there are plenty of other people out there who aren't giving up on you either. But more than forgiving yourself, you have to believe in yourself. You have to believe that recovery is possible, and you have to believe that you can get out of the relapse if it does happen to you. I hope you have a wonderful week, everyone, and I will see you next time.